Coming spring 1994, Mark Allen Drury presents Mad Calls. Drury Outdoors presents Monster Bucks. The monster buck, spectacular, breathtaking, mysterious, an elusive animal often hunted but seldom harvested. In an age where the annual white-tailed deer harvest is compiled of 1.5-year-old bucks, most bucks never grow to trophy status. Combine this with an ever-increasing amount of hunting pressure, and you've created North America's supreme bow hunting challenge, harvesting a trophy-class whitetail. In Monster Bucks, you'll be a part of 5 bucks of a lifetime for the Drury Outdoors bowman. Along with the success comes the agony of a miss or getting winded by a trophy buck. These hunts are found here as well. Join world champion caller Mark Drury as he connects with a monster 144-inch non-typical. You'll cringe as bowhunter Don KISKY misses a Boone and Crockett class buck at 10 yards. Don redeems in an exciting early morning success on a 153-inch typical. See JAY GREGORY arrow the largest deer of his life, a 151-inch 12-pointer. Steve STOLTZ connects with a massive 8-point after grunting him to within 15 yards. You'll be in the tree with Mike Mihalakis on a late evening hunt for a 141-inch 8-point. All in all, Monster Bucks will take you in the timber for the most exciting trophy buck adventure ever produced.
Hello, I'm Mark Drury, and I thank you for choosing one of our productions. What you are about to see is pure bow hunting in the wild under fair chase conditions. At times it will seem as if we are into one monster buck after another. Please keep in mind that the hunts within this video span a period of 3 years. The years are not given, but the approximate months are, in order to tell you when we were hunting in conjunction with the whitetail season. I think you will notice that a majority of the monsters were encountered in or around that magical time, the rut. We do not proclaim this production to be the final word on harvesting a trophy buck, but we do feel like we are some of the luckiest bow hunters alive. It is our sincere hope that you enjoy this video half as much as we did making it. Let's go bow hunting. It's always nice to have deer in or around your stand location. It's kind of like a comfort factor knowing that all of the elements of preparation are coming together. Even if it's not the buck you're looking for, a close, at-ease deer always lets approaching deer know that everything is okay. About the time that Steve was wondering why this deer had been running, his question was answered when this awesome buck appeared. The buck obviously wasn't tolerating too many younger subordinate bucks hanging around his area.
You know, when you're hunting monster bucks, not everything will go your way. As you just saw, two beautiful bucks got wind of us in that hunting situation. We were down in a hollow and it was the peak of the rut and we were doing a lot of rattling. And these bucks came in from one certain direction, but as bad luck would have it, the wind changed. It was inconsistent that morning and they got wind of us. But the next morning, we stayed with it. We got set up on a set of scrapes and the wind stayed consistent. About 8:30 in the morning, the most beautiful buck that I've ever harvested finally came in and gave me a beautiful shot.
Sometimes if a buck is too far away or there is too much noise around, he won't be able to hear you grunting. Should you encounter this situation, try grunting louder. The buck should at least acknowledge when he hears you, either in the form of an ear twitch or stopping or looking. He may not always come, but he will always let you know when he hears you.
beautiful buck. I'd say he's about between borderline Pope and Young, 8-point, beautiful buck. Got a pretty good hit on him, right behind his shoulder low, but the arrow didn't go all the way through. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give him time to expire. You never want to trail a deer too soon if you're unsure you're hit. Now we're sure the hit, but the arrow didn't go all the way through. So we're just gonna wait. He ran up the hill and stopped right up the hill, and probably we'll find him within the last couple hundred yards of the last place we seen him. But we're gonna go ahead and wait about an hour or two to trail him. So, main thing you want to do after you put a hit on a deer like this, and you're gonna wait to trail him, is to stay calm and don't go after him right away and push him. Keep everything quiet, don't talk loud, don't make a lot of noise. You'll find your deer.
One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and a little sticker point here. Nice even 8-pointer. Close to Pope and Young. Gosh darn. Woohoo! What a beautiful buck. You know, early November is a perfect time to scrape hunt, and that's exactly what we did this morning. We set up on scrapes. It's kind of rainy and drizzly out. We set up on scrapes, probably about 50, 75 yards, and this buck came right to scrape. And I thought he'd fool around and scrape forever, and I finally grunted at him about 2 or 3 times, and he turned and came right for us and rubbed the little sapling, and then came right by. And he's borderline Pope and Young. He's just too small, too big to pass up. What a beautiful buck. There ain't nothing like hunting in a rut, let me tell you.
I tell you, one of the things I like most about my API is the system that they have to put these stands in. They start with a T-bolt that screws into the tree like that, and then all you got to do is hang the stand right on the T-bolt. Once it's on that T-bolt, your hands are free to do whatever you want to do, such as put the strap around the tree. They've got a very good hooking system for their strap. Once it's secured, you hook it to the side of the stand, pull on it one time, secure it, and you're done. Now here's Terry on an afternoon hunt one overcast November day, peak of the rut. It is always nice to have a doe come by during the rut, especially if it's that one special doe that every buck is looking for. One hot doe in your timber can sure make for an interesting hunt.
You know, when you're hunting trophy whitetail, not every hunt ends up with a successful harvest. And in my particular case, I had two beautiful whitetail that were within bow range this season, but I never released an arrow. In the first that you just saw, the buck never presented me with an opportunity. Had the doe walked beneath our stand on the trail like she was supposed to, I may have gotten a shot. But I didn't have the shot, so I elected to pass. And the one that you're about to see, this buck caught me moving. I didn't have my bow in my hands at the time. And if you've hunted whitetail for any length of time, you know that they aren't going to let you get by with that. But in my opinion, I still felt that it was a successful hunt. You know, when you have a whitetail that magnitude within bow range, you were the one that came out on top.
You know, we're hunting here in late November, and the rut has already passed, but there's still some big buck movement and a lot of deer movement yet, but they're not trailing the does like they had been. And we decided or elected to hunt a funnel area that's off the end of a slough. The slough has backed up away from the river, and it's got all these deer pushed to one area where they're crossing the end of the slough. And they're hitting this area in the evening. They're going into a cornfield that's already been picked. And it looks like by the amount of the tracks that we're seeing here, it looks like they're still hitting us pretty heavy. So what we're going to try and do is harvest a deer this evening. The wind direction is right, and see if we can have a little luck.
Unfortunately for Terry, these two feeding does had his attention locked onto this hillside. As large whitetails will so often do, this monster 10-point appeared from nowhere, catching Terry completely off guard and out of position.
That's an awfully nice buck. Gee, wouldn't that
Boy, when your luck is down, some things just never seem to go right. Do you think maybe these might be the same two Terry was watching earlier? Lucky for them, they didn't come on into the stand.
starts to come in, and then she gets downwind of you. She catches your wind and then stands there and snorts a lot. Isn't that great? The bucks just usually don't come in.
Boy, do I know how Terry feels. That was indeed a monster whitetail. I'd like to tell you my story about the largest whitetail I've ever harvested. My hunt began on a very cold morning in November. The weatherman said that that particular day it was 3 below zero that morning. To tell you the truth, I actually even thought about not going hunting, it was so cold, but because it was the first week in November and I knew that the rut was in full swing, I knew I had to be in the timber. When I got to my stand, I was glad I was there because on my first rattling sequence, I rattled in a monster whitetail, a buck that would score 150 to 160 inches. He turned, he was on the ridge, I rattled, he come right towards me. I thought this buck was going to present me an opportunity. But as large whitetails will often do, he got on the downwind side before he got to my position, and he winded me. You know, that very same morning, about 15 minutes later, I rattled in another buck. This buck was a smaller buck and he come in right under the tree. So I decided I'd play with him a little bit. I let him leave after he rattled in the first time and I grunted him back. Then I let him go again and I rattled him in for the second time. I had a lot of fun with this buck, but after seeing some of the larger bucks in that area, I decided I'd let this one pass.
This buck could easily be compared to a hot turkey. No matter what Jay threw at him, it seemed to work. What would it be like if all whitetails responded like this?
By this time, it was 10:30 in the morning, and I tell you what, it was so cold, I just couldn't take it anymore. I had to get out of my stand and move around. So when I got out of my tree, I decided, well, I'll move up the ridge 300 or 400 yards to another stand I have on top of the ridge. When I got up there, the sign was absolutely incredible. There was deer trails everywhere. So I got in my stand, and not 30 minutes later, here come a doe, right up one of the trails and right underneath my tree. I turned around, looked behind her, and what I saw next was the most incredible sight I've ever seen in the deer woods all the times I've been hunting. There it was, a monster buck trailing this doe coming right up the trail. I knew that if I could hold my cool, I was about to get a chance at the biggest buck I'd ever had a chance at. come out here when it's 3 below zero in the morning to set on deer stand. Oh, just absolute magnificent animal. Oh, what a hunt. Unbelievable. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 points. Got some little stickers on the bottom. Just a beautiful animal. Very beautiful. Well, that was exciting, I tell you. Oh, it's unbelievable. Look, we had a couple does come up the ridge first, and then we were just talking about how good it looked down below, and I looked back there, and here he was. Saw him coming. Couldn't believe it. Came right up the hill. Exact tracks that doe was in, and stopped out there about 20 yards. He got the pin settled there behind his front leg, and made a good shot. I'm very happy that happened, as always. And he ran down here at the bottom of the hill. Didn't go, I can see the tree from here, from where he stopped. He didn't go 100 yards from where we shot him.
It was 1 year to the day when Jay was nearly given another chance at truly a magnificent whitetail. The wind this day, however, proved to be his nemesis. I too was going to find out just what an enemy the wind can be. Of all the large bucks that we have seen in 3 years, it was amazing how many of them ended up detecting our presence, either by smell, hearing, seeing, or by what I refer to as their sixth sense. They sometimes just seem to know when man is present in their world. I was trying everything I could to lure this nice 8-point into bow range, but the more I rattled, the more he circled towards the downwind side of the tree. Before long, I knew the game would be over. Boy, that was really close. On one hand, I was disappointed that I didn't get a shot at that 8-pointer. But on the other hand, I knew that in another year, he'd definitely be a popping young whitetail. The next 3 days, it rained extremely hard enough that I decided not to go into the timber. On the 4th day, though, the rains broke, and while it was still overcast, I really had a good feeling about this particular day. I decided to hunt one of my favorite stands. It's a stand that's about a quarter of a mile off of a huge bottom cornfield, and this evening proved to be good. The first buck in was a little 7-pointer. He came into some rattling that I had done, came in and checked it out, stayed about 40 yards out from the stand, and ended up veering off down off the hill. About 30 minutes later, like a ghost, my big buck finally appeared. He's facing it. After only about 5 minutes from my rattling sequence, this buck approached my stand. Cautious and sneaky, he stayed well out of harm's way. As he came closer, though, I spotted some scars on his side. In my mind, I wondered what the deer that had done that might look like. Little did I know that I was about to find out a short 30 minutes later. tell you what, a guy waits all his life to kill a deer like this. And I tell you what, it's been a long time coming, but I didn't think it'd feel nearly this good. It feels awesome. What an absolutely gorgeous buck. He's got tines everywhere. He's got sticker points. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 points. What a beautiful buck. And you know, we almost didn't go hunting today because the weather's been really bad, and it was raining, kind of turning into snow, and we had sat out the last couple days, November 1st and 2nd, which was killing us because this is prime time right now. This is prime time rut. And finally I told Terry, I said, we're just gonna have to go because it's too hot. And wouldn't you know, we get in our stand and the rain and the snow quits. We saw a little 7-pointer come in that came into the rattling horns, and then right about 5 o'clock, this old boy come walking up the hill to us. What a buck.
You know, you never want to make the mistake of thinking that you only need effective camouflage for turkey hunting. Well, I'm here to tell you that white-tailed deer have become so adept from danger and movement from up above that you need the most effective camouflage that you can get to hunt white-tailed deer effectively. You know, if you were having a hard time seeing me just now, it wasn't that we did that on purpose. It shows how effective mossy oak is even up in trees without any leaves or branches in front of you. You don't need brush and cover and leaves in front of you when you're wearing mossy oak. And you know, you need every advantage you can get when you're hunting whitetail bucks. I know I won't go in the woods with anything else.
You know, in all my years of bow hunting, I've had a lot of strange things happen to me. But I have to say that this fall was one of the strangest things yet. I was in my favorite tree stand, and here comes a hot doe with a monster buck right behind her. And I knew it was just a matter of time until this doe led the buck right under my tree. I couldn't believe it. Here comes the buck, walking right down the ridge to me. I knew it was going to happen when I heard a noise. I looked to my right, and here comes a pack of coyotes and ran my buck off. I just couldn't believe it.
This obviously is not the large buck Don was referring to. Watch this little buck's pace change when the buck that Don was after appears. Rest assured that this monster wasn't about to let this little buck beat him to the catch.
very next morning, I decided to move my stand to a new location. And on the very first rattling sequence, I rattled in a beautiful 8-point buck. He came in right underneath my tree and he really put on a show for me. But I decided to pass him up because I knew there were bigger bucks in the area. 30 minutes later, it almost paid off because I had a real nice 10-point buck, 130-40 inch range, walking in parallel to me. And I knew with the wind quartering towards him that I had to do something fast. I grunted a couple times real quick. He heard me, turned towards me, and started walking in. And then it was all over because the wind was at my back of my neck and he smelled me.
These strong winds blew in a light skiff of snow overnight. Couple this front with the fact that it was mid-November, and you can bet that there's gonna be some action. Regardless how spry a mood a buck might be in, they never ever mistake human odor. Scent serves as a near brick wall for this little buck. Human scent, by the way, is with you wherever you go. You may reduce it, cover it, mask it, or shield it, but you will never eliminate it. Be smart, play the wind to your favor, and never hunt a stand when the winds are wrong. As I said earlier, do not be afraid to grunt loudly to grab a buck's attention. Watch closely here and notice how this buck lets Don know when he hears him.
boy, you know, the last couple weeks I've had a lot of good hunts end with bad luck. On this morning, it would seem as if my luck was about to change. Emphasis on it would seem.
Your whole lifetime for a chance like that. I just 10 yards, totally pinned right on him. Over the top of the back, what can I say? It's the biggest buck I've ever released an arrow at. Easiest shot in the world. 10-yard broadside, right over the top of the back. Sick. He had to be Boone and Crockett.
Please try and note the absolute magnificence in this whitetail's rack. Truly, this is one of the largest wild whitetails ever filmed or photographed.
Wow, would you look at this bedding area? This is really unique. We got a real thick stand of cedars here, and on both ends of it, there's two big blocks of timber. And man, the rut's getting ready to kick in, and those bucks are cruising through those cedars looking for hot does. Now, I've already got a stand hung up there, and if this wind will cooperate, maybe we'll get a chance at one tomorrow morning.
bedding area. He slipped up in this tree, and he just slipped in this morning. It was almost too dark. I don't know how they can sneak up like that. He snuck up on the far side. Just had enough light to be able to manage to take him. It's a good buck, real good buck. Great buck. Tell you what, these bedding areas are really hot during the rut. Catch these old bucks slipping through here looking for some hot does. That's what he was doing this morning. Boy, just at first light, he comes sneaking in. And I mean sneaking in. Nice buck.
Now let's sit in on a late evening hunt with our very good friend Mike Mihalakis. Mike has been bow hunting for 25 years, and this hunt proved to be his most memorable. He was not yet aware of it, but before this evening was through, he would have a chance at 2 P&Y class bucks. The first deer moving this evening was a nice little 8-point. He skirted the stand, staying about 100 yards out. Once again, the scar on his side would be a sign of what was to come. Suddenly, on top of the opposite hill, a monster 8-point appeared. This buck was approximately 250 yards from Mike's stand. All Mike could do now was sit, wait, and hope that this awesome buck would by chance make its way past his stand.
I don't think it's over this way. He's heading this direction.
Finally, after a full hour and a half of sitting and waiting, the buck stopped feeding and began moving. Luckily, he started heading straight for Mike. Would he make it here before total darkness? That was the question now. Suddenly, a noise from Mike's left side. Another monster 8-point had snuck in on Mike as he watched the first buck. This buck was only 40 yards and closing quickly. Unfortunately, he was walking straight into Mike's wind. Immediately, he seemed nervous, but the angle was quartering too, with no chance for a shot. Finally, the big buck had smelled enough and he bolted. Would it scare the other monster still making his way towards Mike? As quickly as one 8-point faded away into the darkness, the original buck reappeared at 50 yards. Slowly, he eased his way closer to Mike. With a forecast of a clear 20-degree night ahead, Mike chose to take no chances on a trophy such as this. Tomorrow morning would serve as a better time to track. By then, his son Michael could join in and aid in the search.
Last time I seen him, he was going right down in the hole. You got some more blood here, Michael. Yeah, look at this. Look at this pile of blood. Holy cow, he's hitting the lungs. He's hit hard. Boy, look at this, just sprayed all over this. Yeah. Here, close up the gun. That's all the way up. Your boy, he's still bleeding good. Oh, yeah, he's bleeding real good. And I tell you, he can't be too far. He can't be going too far. Yep, there he is, Michael. Oh, man. Look at this.
I'm Mark Drury, and on behalf of the entire Drury Outdoors team, I thank you for choosing our production. We hope that you have enjoyed our 3-year search for these monster bucks.